Okay with a Nike label, or do I need to go with my undershirt?
No, you're good on that.
We do that with our beverages.
How about my penis ring? No.
Let's see where it goes.
One step at a time, man.
That might be a good intro. All right, welcome to Doors at 7, Kitchen at 9, and we are extra excited to have our special guest straight in from California, Chef Ben.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Flew right in just to do this fucking show with us today. So how you doing today?
I'm spectacular.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
How long have you been here for?
For just this trip?
Just this trip.
Oh, I'm just taking a small sabbatical for 2 weeks. Coming out to see some family. And,
cool.
I guess there was a funeral of a very old person that nobody remembered, so... Besides the people who obviously are family, which, but I didn't know them. So we came out because, it was just time. 2 years is too long to keep somebody from getting a hug from their mom and dad.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So we've been kind of slacking on like the kitchen stuff on this show. We've been doing a lot of musical shit, and we brought a real chef out here. So give us a little background on some of your chefing.
Oh, well, I've been out.
Chefing? Is that what it's called?
Chefing. Yeah, unless you got an industry term.
That's also what happens when you're working for 14 hours on the line and between your legs. You just start chefing.
So that's real life shit.
You start walking like a geisha girl because you're chefing. Yeah, I have that. Those are hot days. No, I've been a chef for 25 years, and I've actually been an executive chef for about 8 years now. I started third generation. I was born into being a chef. I was raised into it by my brother and my mom. And it was our family trade.
A family trade. And we might as well get right into it because we had a pretty fucking, I'd say, awesome car ride here.
Yeah, I had just met him, 2 hours ago now, and none of us had shut the fuck up.
You were sitting in the back seat. I could see the fucking smile and look on your face when you're just hearing some of the stuff. So,
what are you guys talking about in the car?
Dude.
Okay, so... Tell us a little bit how you actually got into cooking. Now, you grew up in a small little town, I take it.
I grew up in a village. There was 68 kids, 1st through 8th grade. We went to school, basically what would be looking like Little House on a Prairie. People made their own clothing. They fastened their own shoes. The local village people were the teachers, and your parents always had to work when we were in this village, and they were always gone. So as you're growing up, you learned how to take care of your family. And one of the things that was on my plate was that I was the cook for the household when my parents were busy or not in town to help take care of my brothers. So that's how it started with me, and what I mean by I was born into being a chef is because as a child growing up, it was my responsibility to do most of the cooking.
At what age did you start?
I started at 8, about 8 years old, as soon as I could pull a chair up to a stove, and my first thing I ever learned was how to crack an egg.
Before you learned how to crack a skull.
Yeah, before those days came on.
You grew up in a fucking cult.
I did.
Well, let's start. I think.
I mean, Chris, you're a professional interviewer. If you got another question in that.
No.
Just the interview skills. Wow, impressive.
Yeah. Dan Rathers would be proud of you.
Came right out
right
with
to
Chris
the
is our
point.
resident interviewer. I mean, he's interviewed fucking Brett Michaels.
Start with real quickly before you moved to that town where you came from. Like, you moved to that town that you're talking about now.
I was born in Clear Lake, Iowa.
I think that's a big part of the show.
I was born in Clear Lake, Iowa, and when I was 2 years old, my parents got caught selling pot. Back in the days when it was looked at as such a cardinal sin, and so we ended up all getting taken into foster care. And it was about 2 years before my mother was able to attain any of her children back, and she was only able to get 2 out of the 4. Back to her arms. And when she got that, she realized that, Iowa was going to probably not be the best place with all the state workers wanting to be friends with her. So we packed up, and she had met a man named David, and he was in the military. And he didn't want to be in the military anymore, so he kind of pretended he was not okay in the noggin.
Right.
And so they just charged him. And so he went back to the place he had grown up near Canada, which was Warren Village, New Hampshire. Okay. And it was where his family was, how he knew his way of life, and now I understand why my stepdad's kind of fucking weird.
Right.
So that's at 4 years old. We packed up in an old Eagle Talon and drove across the United States to New Hampshire, and we landed in this place called Warren Village, where we lived above an old meat supply store. Mm-hmm. And but it was abandoned down there. There was nothing but a bunch of mannequins and creepy shit. So you'd walk up a set of wooden stairs. We got a 2-bedroom apartment in the center of this little village strip. And, that's how I ended up there.
You don't know how your mom made the decision to go there.
Oh, it's because
fear.
Well, no, I know
okay,
why
okay.
to leave, but why that location? Was it just
That
put
was-
a finger on the
that
map
was
thing?
where
That's
stuff
furthest
out of
away
it.
from Iowa?
I think she was a single mom of 4, and she met a guy who had a plan, and she didn't have a plan, and he had money and family, and she didn't have money and family. Right. So it was one of those, I have to do what's in the best interest of myself, so you take the reins and take me where we're going, because my real father was a sociopathic, crazy motherfucking drug dealer who had already, chopped my sister's thumb off. Yeah, so you can't just go chopping your kid's thumbs off and then have your wife hang around. That's first divorce.
I've never been to Iowa, so I don't
Your
know.
relationship is
Slipknot
not going
is
to
starting to make a lot more sense right now.
Now there was an age gap with you and all 3 of your siblings, which I'm sure we'll touch on later.
Yeah.
But so with how do you remember was your actual father in your life at all?
I never met my real
You
father,
never met
except for I got 3 phone calls in my life, and that's how that went. But I had my stepdad, which was a really good man. He wasn't a very good dad. Like, he didn't play ball, but there was always food on the table and a roof. There was clothes on the back. It was just
Clothes you were making yourself.
Yes, clothes. He was bringing in the material, the textile.
Here's a needle and some thread, motherfucker. So.
And in fact, it wasn't uncommon back in those days to they would use big, large flour bags, and they'd have patterns on them to make their clothing out of those.
Wow.
And then
you and Oprah. Oprah was doing the
Same
thing.
fashion segment. Oh no, I thought you said Oprah dressed like trash, and I was like, let's see. That I don't know what Oprah did to hurt you, but cheers to Oprah.
On the way here, you were telling me and Chris a little bit about your school initiation ritual. I think Bob and Reed in our audience would like to know a little bit about this crazy
I know
shit.
there was so much of initiation. The opposite. What's the opposite of initiation?
Kicking out of.
Yeah.
The exile.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Exile.
Yeah, I guess a reverse.
Get off my yard. That's what this
A
was.
reverse initiation.
I grew up in it was a school that was okay with corporal punishment. Your teachers were allowed to strike or hit you, and it was 4 classrooms, 1st through 8th grade, two classes per. And one day, I grew up, I had ADHD, and in my village just thought I had demons. And so I was considered a very big problem. So was my brother, because we both had, we had ADHD very bad and dyslexia. So they thought we were lazy, and they thought that, we were just bad children. So in order to handle this in this small-ass village, backwoods area, they had town meetings. And, one of the meetings must have gone quite interesting, because
Town meetings in your gymnasium, which also doubled as a library.
Every
town
and
hall.
all
also
those
our
things.
town hall.
He said he was playing basketball. Like, people would play basketball literally next to bookshelves. That was the library. Everything was in a common.
Everything was in that school gym. You had lunch in the school gym. You read books in the school gym. It was also the library. It was also the common area. It was also where we had meetings. It was also school plays. It was also everything revolved around going to that school as parent meetings and sitting inside of it, which isn't weird at all.
It's like the town center.
Yeah. It was basically the epicenter for every event that would happen there as far as processing. Well, because we were the poorest family in town, and we didn't really belong there, they didn't want us there. And in order to make that crystal clear, they decided to go after my mom's children at the time. And so, remember I said corporal punishment was okie dokie. Well, one day I had a teacher sit on me and pin me on the ground, who was quite heavy, and she was suffocating me. And I got up and I kicked her in the stomach, because I finally got out of the sow's belly. And her name was Kathy Oigel. Don't know where the camera is. Remember that name, motherfucker. Find me. I will have a talk with you. So her name was Kathy Oyakol, and she's got me pinned to the ground, and she's killing me. So I got out from under her, and I panicked as a child. And as a kid, you're like, "Ooh, kick to the face! You're not getting up." Maybe not for every child. I don't know. Maybe just me. So I kicked her, and the principal saw this, and he slammed me into the wall, and he started shaking me, and he was striking me. And I think that week they had a town meeting, and they were just like, "We have to get rid of these kids."
And meanwhile, he's the same age as you and I are, too. So we're at Skateland parties.
I was in second grade. And when this was happening, which means I was like 8 years old. Yeah. Now, I've fought some pretty strong 8-year-olds, but, I always win. I always win. You can send a couple of those little fuckers at me. I think I can take it.
I'd pay to watch you versus 5 8-year-olds. So
no, they were 11 years old. It was a funeral.
Yeah. So we're getting our school books gathered a couple days after this Kathy Oigle incident. We're getting our school books gathered. My brother's 4th grade, and I'm in 2nd. And we go to leave the double school wooden oak doors. And on our school, because the old Bell schools only had a small staircase, and it was made out of wood. And after that, there wasn't really a way to go left or right. It was blocked by rails. And we got outside, and there was kids from every age, and the whole village full of children lined up on one side and the other. And they were of all ages all the way to 18. It was everybody who was 18 and under. I think it was like a bar mitzvah, but not. It was the best party I've ever had. Most turnout, anyway.
This turns into a pizza party at the end.
Yeah. So
it sounds like a stoning is about to happen.
You kind of. So I look at my brother. I'm like, what do we do?
Was it like crows flying and the bell rings and shit?
Watching.
I was busy shitting myself.
Kids are coming out of the corn.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, holy shit. I was like, this doesn't look normal. So I went to go turn around, and the teacher locked the door and just walked away.
It's like, you're
and I was
fucked,
like,
man.
And these kids are like, yeah, you're coming down, bud. We're doing things. And I'm like, what? I didn't sign up for this. So we start walking down, and the striking and the spit starts. First it's a loogie in the hair, and then a fucking. And I'm talking goobers, man. People were reaching into their soul, like like last Christmas's bogey. They got stuck in there. They're gonna fucking hawk it on us. So.
See, that seems counterproductive. Like, I'm not gonna want to punch somebody that's covered in fucking loogies.
Well,
that's gonna be nasty.
They're trying to drive them out.
Well, I know, but
in the easiest way possible, and
I would blow chunks if I hit somebody covered.
I remember covering my head and just running, dude. And I remember because I had my head down, I got tripped because I wasn't looking. So fucking now I'm on the ground of a gauntlet. This is Percy Jackson shit. I gotta save myself. So I was like, all we gotta do is get to our bicycles. That's it. That's the goal. We gotta get past these assholes, get to our bikes, so we can outrun them. Well, we get to the bikes, and they had already known we were going to run for our bikes. So these motherfuckers hand over handed our bicycles into the top of a tree. Like, everybody was passed it up. So, I don't know. We were more afraid to leave our bikes because our mother was going to whoop our ass for losing our bicycles than these kids. Because I was like, fuck that. I would rather deal with you than my mom's around. And that's when you really know where you stand as a child, like... When bombs are going off, which is the worst, and leaving those bicycles was death sentence. I was like, absolutely not. So we started climbing the tree, and these motherfuckers started throwing rocks. And my brother took a large rock to the side, and I'm not talking stones, man, rocks. Like you said, a stoning. The stoning was going to happen, and that's what was going fucking down. We realized these kids are not here to just spit on us and beat us up. They're trying to kill us. So we abandoned the bicycles. I got mine, I threw it, and it broke on the ground and just destroyed it. And the laughter is your bike made of shit and blah blah blah. So we get down, and my brother just beats me, dude. He's so much faster than me, and I'm stuck. Like this group of fucking maniacs is running behind me, toddler maniacs with no sense of anything. And right as we're getting to a telephone pole, the large alpha of the group, what was his fucking name? Dickhead. His name is Dick. I'm pretty sure it's Sean McCormick.
Fuck you, Sean McCormick.
Fucking Sean McCormick beads on me and kicks me into the pole. Like, and I'm running at the pole, so I'm already cruising, dude. And this guy just kicks me in the pole. Well, we get home, and, you know, we didn't want to tell our mom because my mother was very, you fight your fights, and if you don't, and I have to fight your fights for you, I'm going to whip your ass.
Yeah.
You know, old school, you know, no cowardism. So we get home, and my mom pulls our hoods back, and there's spit all over us. And she's like, oh, my God. And she's pissed, and me and my brother don't want to talk. We're like, oh, please, we didn't try to lose. She's like, no. And she does something I've never seen my mom do. She's like, who did this to you? And like this dark, sinister, 5'2" LA Orange County woman that she is. And she's like, get in the car. And I'm like covered in loogie still. I'm like, maybe you let me wash up first? Just fucking something. It's like, no, you have AIDS directly on your face right now. And you're going to deal with it. And so we start driving down the road and circling the town, and my mom is looking for this group of fucking little bastards, and she finds like the leader of this bullshit, and he's sitting at this little pizzeria shit store, and they're all having high fives and celebrating the beatdown that they just handed.
A little pizza party.
Little pizza party action. So right as my mom's walking up to the table, and I could fucking, it was like slow motion. Right when my mom's walking up to the table, she comes and she's like, which one of you guys did this to my fucking boys? And the big mouth, Sean McCormick, is like, it was me, bitch. What are you going to do? And right as this is going down, the dude's delivering the pizza. And my mom just grabbed the pizza and just hugged his face with fucking 400-degree molten lava pizza. And just grabs this kid, box and all.
Yes.
And it's just, this. You can hear it, man. The kid's screaming for his fucking life. And my mom is like picked up off the ground, holding him like a fucking tree. And just like,
Oh, you're right.
Animation is not always good.
Now your mom's, you said earlier your mom's like a smaller woman.
Yeah,
right?
she's 5. My mom is 5'4".
Yeah.
But she grew up in Watts, California, during the Watts riots. So she's like, and you know, she was used as a boxing bag for most of her life. Not a lady who doesn't know how to fight back. So she wraps her fucking tiny body around this fucking full-grown 18-year-old bully's head and just riding him like a rodeo with 400-degree pizza. And I don't know if you've ever had 400-degree pizza on your face. I have not. But I am sure that there was some urgency to get that off.
Yeah, lips, the hands, yeah.
I feel like there would be very urgent to make that stop happening. So this kid's running down the road. His face is fucking half melted. There's pizza fucking flying off. And my mom's chasing him as fast as she can without shoes on. And run. He's like, I'm home. I'm safe. You're not fucking safe. My mom just rips open the door and chases in front of this kid's grandma, parents, all this, and just slapping the shit out of this kid, dude. And that was the day of the gauntlet.
That kid's name is Dick Face and not Pizza Face.
It's just, it has a ring to it. The Dick Face. It has a ring to it.
So did they fuck with you ever after that?
Always. But it
they-
wasn't as abrasively up front. They hit about it after that.
Yeah.
So it was like, you'd come in and your fucking bike's just, tires are flattened. You'd come out and your fucking shoes are thrown over the phone line, or, you know. But we were not afraid to fight. And
That's what's interesting is that your mom herself, and she fucking brought you and your family up to defend yourself, not take shit, don't run to people who are going to help you, try to take it into your own hands. And little did she know, she was taking you away from Iowa, trying to do better and taking you to a place where that is not accepted.
Road to hell is paved in good intentions.
Yeah, it's fucking...
Of course, that's what Jebediah says anyway, those creepy-ass cult motherfuckers. But, so, you know, I grew up... I wasn't religious. We weren't a religious family. My mother told me, she was like, you have the choice to believe in anything you want. You know, follow your own road. But everybody else was like Christian, Baptist, First Baptist, Patheists, like Lutherans, you know, all these people, Jehovah's. And they were just bombardment of the religion. And it was like the freedom of choice was almost non-existent. And
That's all they knew.
But my mother made sure that we had a fucking freedom of choice. She never let that in, you know, and we were always free. But it took blood to keep it there.
So if you were born there, much like probably that entire town, you'd be stuck there forever, maybe, for more than likely, right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did kids leave that place? Like, did you hear about like kids
not
leaving
standing
ever?
up? I mean, it was that town just 8 people. That village 8 people. There was kids that would just disappear.
And his family was probably one of the only ones to go in there from the outside. Think about that. Like maybe one of, I'm assuming, very small amount, if anything.
Maybe once every 3 years we would see somebody who was new in our class, but they wouldn't stay long. It always short lived.
And you say you got like people, just like kids disappearing and shit. Like, what kind of weird fucking shit do they do when that? What do they do when that happened?
They just running away.
Nobody knows.
I'm talking like the museum.
Oh,
thing.
tell the shoe story.
Okay, so there was a vanishing of a girl named Stormy, and so the entire village was out, but we weren't allowed. It was really weird rules. You weren't allowed to go anywhere anymore at night because of the coy dogs and the wild animals you would die. So you got your ass in at night because it was too dangerous. But it was they found the girl's shoe and then posted it on the museum as basically a warning to the outside world, like, and to the people living in the village, of why it is that you don't stray from the path.
Yeah, what accompanied the shoe?
It came with a warning, basically a warning. What would you call that? A scribe, when it's not a letter, but it's on more of a solid platform. Anyway,
Like a plaque.
a plaque.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
Big words.
Like glorifying it.
Yeah, they were like glorifying it, and it was a warning. Like you don't break our rules. You don't go outside of our boundaries, or this is what'll happen to you and your children. Like things will disappear, and it was fucking terrifying. And you don't even realize it until you look back that you were actually being threatened. Like I didn't even know I wore handmade clothes.
How long were you there for?
14 years.
Whoa!
That's the craziest part,
So
right?
you got there when you were 8 and left when you were 22?
I got there when I was 4.
4, okay.
And I left, actually it might have been, I came there when we were 2. I was either 2 or 4, and I left when I was 16.
Okay.
So it was a long run. I mean, I'm not going to say it was exactly 14 years. I don't remember. It was
Do they
long.
think you just disappeared too?
We left, and I'm not allowed to talk to anybody in that village. I'm not allowed to go back. I was told I can never come back. Banished.
So they knew you were leaving. It wasn't just like you left.
I was banished.
So they didn't take one of your shoes and put it in the museum and be like...
No, but I was told that if I come back, under table, there might be bad things that happen to me.
And did something happen that made you guys leave, or did you guys just we're done?
I left home long before my parents. I left at 13. I left home, and I just it was better to try to earn money on the street and sweep driveways and stuff for $5 and stuff. And stay at college frat houses, and that's what I did when I was beginning freshman year of high school. Is I pretended I was a college student. So I snuck into the dorm areas and just made it look like I was always on campus when I wasn't at school, so people thought I was a college student. And I just and I didn't exist until I tried to find my first job, because my name wasn't really my name, which I didn't know that either. Found that tidbit out later. I went to go work at some shitty place, and I filled out the application. That's when I started realizing something was wrong, because I wasn't told any of this stuff. So I filled out my first application, and I was told this Social Security number doesn't match your name. And I was like, what are you talking about? It doesn't match my name. And they were like, well, according to this, your name is Benjamin Franklin Christopher. And I was like, no, my name's Ben Fortier. And so all my school records, all the village records, all the hospital records, everything leading up to the point when I was 18 years old, I don't exist.
Yeah, it's fucking...
So you think it was something that happened when you were in the cult village, where they erased you?
Oh yeah, no, they erased me.
You went there so young.
Yeah.
But and
it was my stepfather who introduced me, because that was his name, is Fortier. But he knew he'd never adopted me, but he knew that's how I was getting into that facility, was to know that I was one of his children, and I never was. And so they raised me as Ben Fortier, but I was never Ben Fortier. And it was a fucking mind blow to find that out.
You're like, what?
Yeah, I can imagine.
Wow, real?
That's quite the origin story.
Yeah, no, you think it gets there, but then it gets a little better. Like, you're out on the streets, you're trying to find your way. You're in this cult town that's straight out of a fucking Stephen King book, and we just discovered on the way here that Stephen King must have grew up in these kind of conditions too.
Very much.
Because
Too
some
much
of the
similarity.
shit is spot on to some of his ideas.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think he's making up some of this shit, and I really don't, because it's pretty close to home.
And then, that weird New England shit, outside of Boston, no one really knows what the fuck's going on.
It almost seems like the town was trying to be as old school as possible, not as culty, but it ended up being a cult. Did you feel you never really learned the inner workings of how culty it was because you guys were totally non-existent to these people. They just dealt with you or beat the shit out of you or whatever.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say. I mean, they made it very apparent in the school systems, but when it came to outside of that, it was just we were so isolated from them because, I mean, I had no idea half the time what the fuck was going on. I was roaming around in the woods like, oh, look, a stick.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't even know what was happening.
All the best cults don't seem like cults.
Yeah.
I know. Well, no, definitely. I would definitely consider it a cult.
Look at Jonestown. I mean, you got Kool-Aid for days.
So then you're out on your own and you become a fucking back alley fighter
Yeah.
to fucking like for money.
I got a phone call when I called my parents one day because I had turned 16. I'd been out on the streets for 3 years, and I was just like, I'm fucking nowhere. I got to figure out what's up. So it just happened, be my lucky day because my parents were leaving, and they were like, "Oh, by the way, we're leaving to Marysville, Tennessee." And I was like, "Well, will you please take me?" And they were like, "Yeah, but you can't take any of this with you. You have to leave everything." And I was like, "Yep."
Sold.
So we got out there, and the day that I got out there, my parents were like, "Okay, you can go now." And I was like, "What do you mean I can fucking go now? That was like living with you guys." And they were like, "No, you need to go find your own way." So I started fighting for money, and I grew up obviously learning how to scrap as a young man, but I was deeply into Karate Kid. Love that guy. Fuck yeah. So I was able to watch these stupid 80s videos as I got out of that area, and I was able to do most of the things I could see on TV. I was very athletic, and I was like, I can do this. I was like, I can totally do this. And I by the end of my career, I think I was 82-4.
80. My question is like, what kind of motherfuckers are sitting out there like, I'm ready to fight for money? Like,
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Like, there's an underground ring of people that just want to fight.
Yeah.
Dude,
there's lots of reasons. Mostly anger, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Mostly people just get frustrated with their lives. They have no way to express
So
it.
like, who's the promoter that's like? How do you find the person that? Like,
I was.
You were the
I was the promoter.
making your own like.
Well, what I was doing is I was coming up to very large men and I was issuing bets. I'd be like, look, I'm not disrespecting you, but I would like to fight you. and they're like, what? I was like,
hello, fine sir.
How do you...
I have an opportunity for you.
It's free
Would you
real
care to
estate.
partake in the punching of each other's faces?
You'd be fucking amazed at how many dudes are okay with that. They're like, yes, I would like to get punched in the face.
Now, what area and what conditions are these fights around in? Is it the ghetto of where you're at?
No, mostly cornfields.
Okay.
We took it away. I'm not fighting on concrete. That's something I learned like round 2. You don't fight in water. You don't fight in concrete. You just try to make sure that, because you don't know what the hell is going on in your environment. Some of them were in rings. Right. Some of them were in basements, that were padded. But most of them were out in, some yard or field. And a lot of them were behind fences. And some of them, like, you got sore losers and they be calling cops and shit.
I'm sure, yeah.
Not everybody likes, you got these guys who'd be really excited to do it, but it was $500 a fight. You have to put in your $500. I put in my $500, and then I knock you the fuck out, and I walk away with $1,000. It was a really easy job.
Is there like a whole circuit? Like you just travel the circuit of like, I'm going to this town, then this town, and like.
I basically stuck with Knoxville, and in the city there's just always new blood.
You want a drink?
Oh, I want to go pee pee. And I
Yeah.
don't want to.
Yeah,
I'm sure you guys.
No, you're good, man. Do your thing.
Yeah, as far as the circuit, there started to be, and it used to. I was in the era of bum fights and backyard brawls, and they also used to do the wrestling version, which fuck that.
Yeah.
You thought fucking boxing somebody in the yard is dangerous? Let somebody take you off their roof and body slam you through a table.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Is this all bare knuckle
And
shit
they don't
too?
even get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still a lot of underground fighting things that they're putting on YouTube.
I've seen it. Like I was on this World Star kick for a while. Like I just spent like a week and a half just watching like World Star comps all night long, and there was definitely like a surprising number of underground like basement. Get a whole group of people together and they're like, all right, me and you, me and you, me and you.
And Bob, you watched one specifically, right? Like,
There's a few that I watched,
Yeah.
but like bare knuckle fighting, that's like sanctioned now. And so like Chris Lieben and other guys from UFC will go and do the bare knuckle fighting.
Yeah.
Because that can go, you could be winning 3 rounds and then you just get caught once and you're done.
Right.
Like, and then there's a couple other ones though. There's this backwoods one where the guys literally set up hay bales and like cow fencing around them and like fight inside that.
Wow.
But yeah, it still goes on today, man. I mean, look at some of the greatest fighters that you guys see on TV started out in their backyard. And,
Like a Kimbo Slice.
Yeah, Kimbo Slice was a legend. So was
That was like the
Hoist
the
Gracie,
main
you got
underground
Chemo, you got fucking Dan Severn, you got all of them. All of them started out, and they were my heroes.
And even the above ground stuff that was overseas in Japan, like Pride, K1, and like all those other ones that like Takanashi and all those guys were putting on, like running themselves. That shit was like barely like sanctioned, like because over there they got a different set of rules, and that shit was out of control.
Well, what's surprising is how our society is formulated into where that's a negative when it was actually like not too long ago it was celebrated, you know. And now it's this thing where you're a powder puff, and if you hit somebody, you think you're gonna die. It's you know, and too many people watch TV, by the way. They think they're going to knock you out in one hit. Everybody has that dream.
They think they're not going to gas in 3 punches.
I've had people hit me with all they had, and I look at them and I'm like, okay.
Then the look of terror, they're like...
It does, and you just see it wash over them. And it's because nobody knows how to roll with a punch, because, you know, it's like, it's a very un-Street Fighter thing to be able to take a hit and then move on with it, because they just too panicked.
The 4 fights you lost, 4, right?
Yep.
The 4 fights you lost.
Well, why do you want to talk about the four
No, because
There's
that's
only
the
four of
reason.
them.
No, hold on.
That's
But because
less
they
than
they have to be recognized, and I'll tell you why. Real quick. Okay, so there's 4 losses.
Yeah.
Do you are these guys like fucking like extreme, so extreme that they knock you out right away,
I've
or
never
is
been knocked out.
So it's an actual you last with these guys.
I was fucking bleeding out.
And I'm asking because obviously
I didn't get knocked out. I was fucking like, okay, we gotta stop this. I'm done.
That's what I mean. I mean, obviously he's fucking won a.
Is there like mostly a mutual respect afterward? Like shake hands?
Always.
Like,
I've never walked away from a fight that we weren't.
Did anybody try to bitch out on their $500?
Yes,
Beat
those
up?
are the cop collars. People. One of the brawls I got into, we had a huge crowd around us. It was actually my first one. It was still in. It was in. Fuck. New Hampshire, I think. I think it was New Hampshire. I think it was my first. I was freshman year. It was first like. This kid was beating up a fucking kid who just had heart surgery. And I was like, all right, you punk fuck. I was like, let's see what you do against somebody who can throw hands. And this kid's much bigger than me, and I guaranteed I was going to get my ass kicked. But they did that school thing, and we were at his house party, and I went to his house to fight this kid. And so everybody's his friend, and I'm like all alone. And this kid named Ed Grover is like my only cheerleader. He's like, you got it, buddy. I believe in you. And he's like, go on in there. And I'm like, Ed, what the fuck? And he's just like, I believe in you, man. And I'm like, I'm Ed's champion, man. I got you, buddy. You know, and I think, you know, righteous and justice things. And I was like, I'm scared shitless. I'm fucking about ready to piss myself because he had so many friends. And I'm just one guy. Like, people were coming out of their houses in this cul-de-sac, and they're just like, what's going on here? And this kid's bigger than me. And it was the first time I ever realized, you know, I'm not a pussy. It wasn't because I was there that made me not a pussy. I hit that kid so fucking hard. And I had no idea I had that kind of strength. You know, because
I went like, oh shit,
and you go overboard because you're terrified, and you're like all this adrenaline. You never hit anybody like that in your life. So this kid takes a poke at me, and I like way overextend my block, and I do this like Jean-Claude Van Damme like stretch back from the kid, and I'm like, ah! and I blast this boy right off his feet, comes up ass over tea kettle, and fucking he gets back up, and his eye is wide open. And I was like, I can do that? I was like, you fucking done! But,
so you give him the business after that?
No, he hit me a couple times. It hurt. And he got a couple pokes on me. But the thing of it was, his blood kept getting in his eye. And I get the kid this. He didn't puss out. You know? First fight, all his friends, he didn't like puss out, but I got in his head. And as I'm fighting the kid, I was like, "You're already bleeding, man." And I'm scared. I don't want to fight no more. I don't want anything to do with the fight anymore, but I'm trying not to show that I'm shitting my pants. It's like, "You don't want none, man. You're already bleeding. Oh, think about what the next one's going to do." And this kid's like, fine, man. Fine. Fuck it. I'll catch you later. And I was like, "Wait a minute. What? What?" And he's like, "Okay, fucking mercy." And then he called the cops. And I went through all that trauma, and then I got the cops called on me. Like that cop could have checked my diaper and known that I was fucking scared out of my mind. And he comes up and he's like, "Did you beat this kid up?" And I'm like, "I guess I did. Guess that was me." And they arrested me.
Oh shit.
Yeah, right then and there, fucking slapped me in cuffs. Wow. And cop got me almost in. And I was talking to him, and I was telling him, I was like, "Look, man, my friend's a 3-time fucking heart transplant kid, you know? Like, he was beating the shit out of this kid." And he just let me go.
Awesome.
Just let me go. I think he just wanted to get me out of the area.
Yeah.
Keep the locals happy that he had done his job, and then he was like, "Good job, buddy."
That's what you do.
Now that's how you cop right there.
So do you think you were able to do that shit just because of your experience?
Yes,
and,
absolutely.
Just because you've already been through something so much more extreme than just a fucking street fight.
I thought so. I thought I was able to do that, but I've been shot twice. I've been stabbed 3 times. And I've had a baseball bat split my skull. So maybe not the best decisions on my part. Maybe not the best choices. But, the way I looked at it is I was fucking invincible. And I was really stupid. So when you get those two idealisms together and you're a young teenage boy on your own, no parental guidance, and you got to make your paper, that's how shit gets wrong. You sometimes take a young man and be like, "Hey buddy, you need a hand," without trying to fuck him in the ass or something. That'd be cool for the world.
Yeah. And I know you've been kind of around different places and stuff, and you're moving and doing stuff, but did you have a reputation where people were like, "I can't fuck with this dude"?
Always. Everywhere I went, I've always been
"Oh man, we look at him wrong, he's gonna fucking jack me in the face."
100%. And as I started getting older, I fed into that more, and I started hitting the gym, and by the time I was done, before I became a fat old man, I was benching 300 pounds, and that was fucking pretty good for a dude my size. But this time it wasn't to go out and hurt people. This time it was to let people know I can hurt you, and it's all that state. But when you got to put food on your table, and they won't let you work because you're not the age to work. You don't have parents' consent. What the fuck do you do to earn money? You got a couple options. You start knobbing people off in alleyways, and they only pay in nickels. Trust me. Not gonna get a meal that way. You might get some other things.
I gotta take these cans back myself.
Man, I can't survive on protein alone.
I'm gonna dub that raccoon mouth. Ew. You got raccoon mouth. You've been sucking on trash. That's disgusting, and I should never have said that.
I love it.
There's something so vile.
I love it that's the part you're like, I shouldn't have talked.
Yeah, I know. That's the brilliant part of this. The things that he apologizes for.
That's too far.
That was the line right there.
Found the line.
Oh shit. So you feel like that, fighting persona, it was so easy to do because that's what you had to project to keep yourself safe?
No,
do you feel like you're the opposite of that, or do you feel like that's who you are?
At first it was to keep myself safe, and then I started enjoying it because I was good at it. But I never did it out of malice intent. I never wanted to do a guy on the deck and fucking go too far with it. It was just the experience of, it was the first time I ever felt anything other than fear. It was nice to
a little bit of power.
Yeah, a little bit of strength in myself. But also, it was a hell of a good way to make friends. And friends who weren't pussies. You guys knock each other up a little bit. No, not each other up. That's different. Maybe bad wording. I'll carry your baby.
I'll say, if anything, Chris is the carrier.
Oh shit!
Jesus Christ!
I'm a stay-at-home dad, so I'll take care of the child.
James is a strong bottom.
Power bottom, James.
Not necessarily a power bottom.
Oh, just a strong,
he's a
the
strong
middle class.
Well, He's got some peace
Once he hit
resistance.
40, he went from power to strong.
I'm losing level.
Sorry, man.
Back starts hurting halfway through and shit.
I can't do it.
My Madden rating just went down.
Jesus.
What system is that on?
You know,
It
like
only
your
takes
Madden,
one.
your Madden guy is like a 97, 96.
I'm just saying I don't have that game where my
Oh.
power bottom. Like,
No, but and honestly, it just gets weirder. It just gets fucking weirder. Just when I thought that I was out of like weird shit, it just gets weirder.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What's the next? What's the next thing?
Yeah.
What's the next thing after fighting that's crazy?
Okay, so you escape from prison, right? Only to find out that you just crawled into a bigger prison. It gets prison's the wrong word. You escape one orgy to figure out that you're in a bigger, more angry orgy, and that's the way to put it. That's the right way. So when I
The
moved,
prison thing makes sense though, because even though you're doing your own thing when you're fighting, when you move, you're still imprisoned by your past, especially because you're only 10 years, maybe 5 years out at this point from leaving, right?
I was still definitely in shell shock.
Yeah.
So because I found out I was supposed to be in school, like I didn't really. When I was, because of the ADD and the thing that I told you about and them not believing that it was a real thing, my school day consisted of me getting a basketball and then getting away from everybody else.
Right.
They were like, go play in our universal gym where everything...
So they just stuck you there with a basketball?
Yeah,
like...
they would give a lady to watch me and they would send me out of class and I would go play basketball. I didn't learn how to... I had to teach myself how to tell time.
Wow.
Like, I didn't know how to tell time and I didn't learn so many things until I left. Like so many things that I was blind of. I didn't know how to tell time. And you know, I thought that was fucking funny earlier when you were like, and no clocks.
Because
you
you said that. You said no street lights, no clocks.
Yeah. Oh,
There were clocks, but there was no digital clocks.
Right.
So you just saw arms and you're like, what are these arms? And these
because
numbers?
the locals didn't have any patience nor want me there, I didn't get to get educated, so I was self-educated.
Right.
And now I'm a botanist, and you know, a thesis writer. I'm a college graduate, and I did all of this vicariously through other people.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So it shows that you can gain that education and knowledge and not have to be part of the system to do it, as long as you...
I really did get lucky, James. I did. I got lucky. The college experience, the college teacher saw that I was so talented that he let me record the classes for free and never charged me tuition.
Wow.
So I went to college, but I never got.
Is that when
a
you
degree.
started going to the frat houses and hanging out and stuff?
That was prior. That was in high school. Everybody's bullshit. Everybody knows high school's fucking a big gay thing.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not for the class fucking executive or anything, but it's pretty rough for a kid who just came out of the village. So it took 6 counties to make one high school.
Right.
And where I came from, 6 other villages. So we had Grafton County. We had Grafton County made up 4 regions, which is Grafton County, New Hampshire. So then they had to pull in Plymouth, and they had to pull in like areas from Dartmouth, and it took a shitload of grade schools to make one high school. And our high school, out of all the counties, maybe had 1,000 kids.
Wow.
Maybe. And I was getting lost because in that tiny little school.
Yeah.
You know, because it was so much bigger than what it was. I'd come to class and be like, I couldn't fucking find you because you had more than one floor and you didn't have a fucking keeper getting me to class. So by the time I hit 8th grade, I didn't know shit because they weren't teachers and they didn't want to teach me. So I became an athlete.
It's like, he can dribble a ball pretty good.
I could fucking kill it, and I was a gymnast.
Looking back, aren't you glad that you weren't taught? Like,
Oh yeah.
Don't you think that this story could be much different?
I got lucky. I'm glad I'm glad they looked at me as a disturbance and got me out of the classroom.
Yeah, because those kids were not learning the truth.
No, their history was really weird.
Yeah, I mean, listen, any museum that has a shoe of a missing kid and then a fucking story about it that's worded that.
Do not leave.
Your shoes.
But I did. So when I thought I got out of the cult system, then I found myself in the Bible Belt, which is just a larger cult.
So I agree with that.
So the first church I got pulled into is what's called a full gospel. Now I don't know if anybody knows what that is.
No, I mean I was raised Catholic and went to Catholic school, but no, I've never heard that.
Catholics don't have. Only Baptists have
Only
full
Baptists.
gospel.
So you
now
just
a
went
full
saying-
gospel. So you would think, no, here's a snake. Let's walk down the alley holding
Oh
some
yeah, I
sticks.
mean I've seen. We probably all seen that
Your
kind of shit.
preacher's running on the top of the pews. He's fucking doing his thing. And
Violent and methed out.
Yeah, violent and
Yeah,
methed out.
yeah.
And a TV evangelist style. Like,
Yes.
I'm really with the Jonestown blowjob. And it was terrifying. So everybody out in the Bible Belt that I landed in, I mean, the first thing I see is a sign on a grocery store that says no allowed.
Wow.
And I'm like, where did I just land? There was no black people in my village.
Right.
I didn't even know what this was about. I was like, why? What is this?
Yeah.
What's all this hatred towards black people?
Right.
And you know, I went into like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre's store, and there's a lady with one arm, also homemade clothes.
Wow.
Right back to it.
Right.
And I'm like, and I still didn't realize because, you know, looking back, I'm like, oh my God, I went from the pot to the kettle. I mean, the kettle to the fire. And so I get in there, and there's all this prejudice towards black people. Now, I mean, I was just not that guy. I wasn't raised that way.
Right.
So although I was raised in a segregated place, I was segregated for being poor. So it was like, as long as you're not poor, you're okay. And so I was like, so now it's color? I was like, this is a new thing. So I'm working a job at Burger King. It was one of my first, you know, like jobs. And I have this friend, Jerome. This is very large black man. And I have him in my tiny little Honda. And I'm giving him a ride to go score a little bit of pot. And I pull up on a fucking KKK meeting with this dude in my car. Because I went over to my buddy's house to go grab a bag. And his dad's a Grand Dragon. And nobody bothered to even explain this to me. And like, hey man, a heads up now and then. Like, oh, and by the way, I'm a part of a terrorist organization that seeks out people of color and tries to exterminate them with massive prejudice. And I'm like, could have brought that up. Could have told me. And so I get in, and I'm pulling in, and there's all these white dudes, and there's a doll that's black hanging with a noose from his fucking tree. And I'm like, it's not piecing itself together with me. Like, Jerome knew already.
He's like,
Jerome's on it. He's like, hey, man. And I'm like, what's your problem? Why don't you calm down? You know? And this dude's Underground Railroad. He's like, fuck that shit. I want out of here. And he's like, dude, get this car turned around right fucking now. White boy, you're going to get me killed. And people start standing up from the benches. And I'm like, okay. Bells are ringing. I don't know what's happening, but I've never seen a front end Honda do a fucking reverse wheelie that fast in my life. So I'm booking down the road, and I'm like, what was that? What was that we just experienced there? He's like, you stupid ass white motherfucker. You just drugged me to like Mount Nebo. And I'm like, what is that? He's like, how? You don't take black people to Mount Nebo. And I'm like, kids at home, don't take black people to Mount Nebo. Fuck that place. But
Dude, you know I'm from Iowa, right?
so I'm still friends with the guy's son, and I come up and I'm like, hey man, what the fuck? And the dad comes out, and he's like, hey, come into my house. And I'm like, I've never been in your house.
And I'd be like, I don't know if I want to come to your house.
Dude, swastikas, fucking, and he's like, I love you, man. You're a great kid. You work really hard. And you're always on the ranch, and you're always helping me out. Don't you ever do that again? And I was just like, okay.
Making me look bad in front of my friends.
Dude, and he's like the man of the group, right? And he's like, and I know he's got to be thinking, how do I explain that my farmhand is friends with black people? And so I was sitting at a bench the next round. It was about a week later, and a guy was like, so you're the karate guy? And I'm like, I guess I'm the karate guy. And he's like, what would you do if I did this? And he snaps a knife out, and he grabs me, and he puts the knife to my throat.
Wow.
And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what I would do if you did that. And right as I'm like, you know, kind of in trouble, and the guy who was the Grandmaster snapped his broken ass old pocket knife out of it. I mean, jagged, gnarly pocket knife, and he held it to his own member's throat and pulled him off me, and he told me, you ever touch that boy again, I'll fucking kill you. And that's when I knew. I was like, wow, I am good with the KKK. I am solid with those guys. And they might style, but it's always good, you know, to have crazy friends.
keep them a little crazy, huh?
And I guess with that mindset and what you grew up with, you knew that it was the wrong people to hang with, but protection is what you sort of...
Right.
Survival.
Survival.
And that's why I never joined any of them. I mean, I had an opportunity a lot of times to join the AH and Outlaws and KKK, and they always respected me because I said no. Yeah. I was like, thank you, but no. I was like, I'll help your sons and stuff, and like a medic, like a field medic. I'll help both sides,
Yeah.
But I'm not going to get involved in that shit.
So then you said you were a little young at that time and you were working at a Burger King. Was that your first restaurant job?
Yes. Yeah, my first restaurant job was the King, the BK.
And
Whoppers for days, baby.
did you find your passion for cooking there?
No, I cried and I quit. One day I was just standing online and everything was moving, all these people, and I just fucking started crying. I was like, "You can't do this!" And I just ran out. And dude, my boss was like, "What the fuck is this guy's problem?"
How old were you?
16.
Yeah, dude, those very intimidating jobs as a 16-year-old. That's when I started, or 17. 16 is when I started working with fast food, and it's same. Yeah,
I was just menstruating that day. I was on it, and like I wasn't used to being around that many people.
right.
And I was just like, no more Whoppers.
They're like, you didn't put cheese on this one. It wasn't on the ticket.
Yep, and then like, Jesus Christ, it's been a weird journey.
Yeah, that's without a doubt to say so. So how do you go from like all this and now you're a fucking executive chef, like
What comes
making
after
these
Burger King?
beautiful
After Burger King, I did Arby's, Burger King, Wendy's. I hit all the fast
You
food.
did the circuit.
I did the circle, and then one day I found this place called Bel Air Grill, and I set the kitchen on fire. And I got yelled at a lot for that. They don't like it when you do that.
You weren't supposed to set the kitchen.
Apparently.
No.
That's like, I guess that's up there with the qualifications of being hired to a job, is that you don't burn their building down. But I came, I started there, and I worked under a guy named Tracy, and then one day I got stuck in this mediocre food, greasy spoon thing. And I met a girl, that story. Met a girl, and she had...
Chris is like, that's a fucking puddle of mud. So
Yeah.
fucking open and lyric.
Fucking,
I saw you. I saw the in your eye.
No.
I can see it.
Yeah.
It was there. So I met a girl, and she had really big dreams, and I had never even thought about it. So I ended up in San Francisco.
I was gonna say this big dreams as equals California when you say
Right.
big dreams.
Big dreaming. Like, she wanted to be a movie actress, director, like huge dreams. And I didn't have any. I was this boxer, fucking street mauled, ear bitten off, fucking...
That comes from very segregated areas.
Yeah, and I was like, I've never lived in a city, like, whatever. So I find myself living on a boat. And it's a 35-foot skimmer sailboat, and I lived on this boat. Do you ever live on a boat? I mean, just right, that statement should
The best
resonate.
question of the whole day.
Yeah,
It is.
That might be the title of this episode.
Do you ever live on a boat?
Live on a boat.
Not glorious. Not a glorious time. So we live on a boat, and it's $900 a month to live on a boat because you can't even afford land. So you're...
They're selling water.
And I'm walking down.
Are you in the Bay or? Are you
Yeah.
like
I was down in Minna, San Francisco. I was in Financial District, and I'm living the California dream, which whatever the fuck that is.
Of all these California songs, I've never heard anybody talk about living on a boat in a song. This is like a whole new thing.
Hotel California just missed that part. It might have been a metaphorical, but
Yeah, it was the verse they left out.
Yellow Submarine, we got that. Kind of was close, but they had a good time. This was different. So I'm living on a boat, and this girl is pushing me to be better. And she's like, you need to get your shit together and find something. She's like, you like cooking. What are you going to do? And she starts filling out resumes for me and dropping them into these places, right? And I have no fucking idea. So I'm walking into places that I am, like, not qualified for. And they're like, so you want to run Disneyland, do you? And I'm like 28, and I'm like...
That'd also be a very interesting story, I'd say.
The best job I've ever seen anybody ask me is he sits me down and he's like, why do you think that you're worth $45,000 a year? And I was like, how much? And he just knew right then and there. He was like, you didn't put this resume in. I was like, no, it was me. Wait, hold on. I was like, why am I worth that? Because I am exceptional.
I'm a fighter. I come from a cult.
Yeah, you're like,
I work too hard.
Yeah. So
I care too much.
I find this building called Anchor and Hope, and I'm just walking by it, and I look at it, and it looks like this old garage, and there's just all these guys in white jackets, and I'm like, I go in, and I'm like, can I speak to the chef? And they were like, here you go. Fucking enjoy that. Fucking good times. So this guy comes out with his vein bulging out of his head, and he's like, who dares interrupt my slumber? Like, his eye, I'm sorry. And what, am I supposed to give you coins or something? So he's like, what do you want? And I was like, I would like to talk to you. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, I've never gotten this much sass from anybody just asking for a fucking minute of their time. He's like, fuck you, kid. What do you want? And I was like, I want to be like you when I grow up. And like, you know, he's just like...
if I could look at this guy's face.
He thinks he's dreaming.
And he starts laughing. And he's
There's a
like...
ball gets to have get picked.
He's like... She's like, where are you from? And I was like, I'm from New Hampshire. He's like, I'm from Massachusetts. And he's like, I was like,
Go Sox.
Yeah, good. I don't know what that means. And I didn't know geographical very well. And I was like, chop. And so he sits me down. He gives me like 30 minutes of his time. And I'm like, look, this is what I want, you know, and I break it down to him. I was like, dude, I don't know. You're amazing. I'm like, I'm looking at what you do. I don't even care if you pay me. Could you just teach me how you're doing what you're doing? And apparently that is the right fucking thing to say.
When they see the spark,
yeah, it was the right fucking thing to say.
But can you teach me, or you don't have to pay me? Which one?
Both. And that's basically the verbal equation of I will suck your dick, apparently, to a chef. And he was just like, I'll give you what's called a stage. And I didn't know what this was. I was like, what the fuck's a stage? I'm like, a mustache? Are you hitting on me? You can't afford me, old man.
You're like, I am in San Francisco.
It just, I don't know. Right when he says stage, it reminded me of Mustache Ride. And I was like, I don't like any of that. What are you going to do to me?
it does sound sexual. It does.
First thing I thought.
But I don't carry any change right around his pocket.
Yeah,
so I'm
you'd be like,
okay.
So I started looking at his hands. I was like, those are big fingers. I was like, this is going to be a hard fucking job.
But yeah, this is a normal term in the industry as
and I
like being a what's the word I'm looking for? Like when you work for free to learn. Like it's being an intern.
Yeah, an intern.
And also why being the complete slave to the chef.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this guy, Pete Janiak, which is on Facebook, he's out there. He's an amazing chef. Great guy. And he gives me my first opportunity. And he's hard as hell on me. You know, he's just like, you got to bring your own knives. You're not going to work without knives. And he gave me an opportunity. It was like, if you can get through today, you're going to have the job. And he put me on Oyster Bar, which is Carmen J, which is like, I had no idea how many oysters people can eat in San Francisco in one day. So this dude's got me plowing over there, like killing oysters. And he comes back, he's like, dude, you got hustle. He's like, I'll give you an opportunity, but every single month, I'm going to have a guy stand next to you, and if he outworks you, you lose your job.
Oh, shit, so he's setting up like a comp?
Wow.
So every month, he had another stage come in and stand next to me, and I would have to outwork this guy. Now I'm going against people who know what the fuck they're doing. And I know Pete was doing it to keep me in line, and I don't think he would have replaced me. But,
Well, knowledge and hustle are two completely different things in that industry.
But he kept me on through chefs that were college graduates. He kept me on during people who knew way more than I did. And he always kept me in line by fucking having that happen to me. He'd be like, oh, there you go, buddy. And he was one of the best teachers. And I fucking hated him.
Now, do you think he was just doing that to get your
Absolutely.
nerves? Right? He wasn't going to get rid of you because he already seen the hustle.
No, yeah, he played it well. He was a smart chef. And he was like, I'm going to keep you fucking terrified all the time. And you're going to do this job because I can replace you like this. And you're going to earn it every day. And he taught me that. And I fucking hated him. And before I could realize the lesson that he was teaching me, I absolutely thought he was bullying me. I was like, you're such a cocksucker. I was like, you're always on me. You're always riding my ass. And then one day he looks at me and he's like, Christopher. And I was like, what? And he's like, I want to let you know that the only reason I give you such a hard time is because I like you. And I looked dead at him. I was like, Chef, could you please like me less?
the right answer. He
And-
probably got a kick out of it.
Yeah, he did. He laughed. He fucking
course,
laughed hard.
right away.
He was just like, okay. And I called him about 8 years after, and I thanked him. And I wrote him a long letter and review on his Facebook account. And I was like, I just want to thank you because the whole time I thought you were this horrible, horrible man. You were just trying to teach me, and but you did. But what I didn't take with me was the meanness of that man.
Yeah.
And I could never be as good a teacher as Pete. But that's how I ended up finally getting my break, was begging a man to give me an opportunity. And he did.
And was this restaurant like a very busy like kind of restaurant?
It
or-
was a Michelin star restaurant, and I had no business fucking being there on the planet.
Can you explain quickly a very brief description of Michelin star?
A Michelin star, okay, so you have four diamond, which you have 4-star, which is what most people see. They go into town and they see 4-star on Yelp. And then you have 4 diamond, which is usually about $500 a plate. You have a personal chef to your table. And then you have a Michelin star, which is gold reserve VIP. I've cooked for Jeff Bridges. I've cooked for Tony Hawk. That's Michelin star. And Gordon Ramsay owns 4 Michelin star restaurants, and that's all he can bear. And that's just 4. That's as far as he can take.
And isn't there a small amount of Michelin star? I know the history a little, but not the actual extreme history. Isn't Michelin star like there's not that many in the States, right?
Yeah, it's mostly.
I don't want to misspeak, but I think that there's probably 20 Michelin star restaurants.
And in France, is that the France is the
world.
big is the most?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, United States, mostly Vegas. Like Gordon Ramsay is pretty much the only dude who's really pushed it far. And we got Edgar and Hope got its Michelin star stripped, and it's down to diamonds. But
And they can just
they'll
keep
strip
stripping.
your shit if
How do you keep your rank? Do you you have to certify every year or something?
you have to have an evaluator come through and sit down and go through a dining experience, and sometimes you don't always know that they're a critic.
So if they catch you on the bad day, then you could lose your fucking rating. Just
Yeah, and
on
you
a bad
have
day.
you have to be certified. There's chef certifications, like you have to go through to get those rankings. It's crazy shit.
Not many chefs get there.
I
especially
was
in the
never
States.
I was never a chef in a Michelin star. I was a underling.
Right.
There's
that-
no fucking way.
right.
I would
No,
ever
yeah.
say that I am a Michelin star chef. You'd be out of your mind.
No, right.
They shit better than I can cook. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, we're you obviously did the circuit with the fast food restaurants. Me and Chris, used to the quick dine-in and shitty little towns. What's the behind the scenes of a Michelin star kind of restaurant? What's that kitchen like?
Well, you don't talk unless it's yes chef, no chef. It's very military. That's why I liked it and I needed that. Because
Legitimately, from the way you wear your clothes to everything.
you have to have your jib straight. You have to be clean. You have to be in uniform. You can't get your uniform off. You don't work. You have to have your hat on, your nails cleaned and trimmed. You have to have no facial hair. You have to make sure you go through inspections where people come around and they jib you up, and they're like, it is the close. Fine dining was originally, from what I was explained to, fine dining came from military. It was a bunch of retired veterans who didn't have anything to do anymore, and they wanted to cook, and so they followed it under military ranking and base. And when my chef would come on, everybody would say "officer on deck," and you would give that respect.
So you're not listening to music, and not
Absolutely
blasting
not.
some Slayer in the back.
Nothing.
and
There's no music.
You and the
involved.
dishwasher are gonna go rip out behind the dumpster and smoke one down on your smoke break.
No. If you got caught doing any of those things, you'd never make it.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't happen. Now they get off of work, and let me tell you how fucking wild that shit is.
Yeah.
But they're not.
Because you're suppressing it for so long.
Oh,
and-
dude, fucking immediate to the bar. Just fucking drink, smoke weed, fucking do coke, and do all the good shit. Pass out, get up, and I don't care how fucking horrible you did yourself that night. There's no mercy if you did it to yourself, man. If you did that to yourself, you're no mercy. I came in one day with a fucking busted open eye from a bar fight that I got, fucking all fucked up and hungover. They were like, "Get online." And I was like, I just want to go home. They were like, "I can smell liquor on you, boy. I don't give a shit. You're getting to work." And I was just like, no mercy.
Yeah, they don't even question if you got drunk an hour ago. They're
Nope.
like, you're fucking working.
And
you're
if you,
gone.
the best thing Mr. Janiak ever taught me was don't fuck it up. And that is number one. Don't fuck it up.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't care if you're dragging a club foot, okay, and you can't breathe. You better not fuck it up.
So what's the over/under on you guys lasting in that type of situation?
Oh, me never.
Yeah. Oh no.
I'm
wouldn't-
saying like, I'm saying
Oh.
6 minutes you could do.
No.
James wouldn't get past his first he wouldn't get through. He wouldn't be able to start.
You said
He'd
I
be
could-
finishing a smoke.
You
I'd like
see-
to shift to a
I couldn't
start.
even
You're
get
like,
6
"What?"
minutes.
Here we go.
Wait,
It had to come in this
I know.
great interview. This great. God, they're gonna go at it.
I'm just saying, like, I couldn't even get through fucking 6 minutes. I don't even
No.
make it past the smoke
I don't think you
break.
could. No.
Get the fuck
I
out of
think
here.
Chris could make it to his first smoke break, and that's when he would find his escape.
I'm a very anxiety-ridden new job guy. It would never last a minute in that.
I think I'd
atmosphere.
at least last.
Don't discredit yourself.
No. Well, here's no.
So-
Let me tell you something real quick. I would give it a try. I would love the experience. I got a quick question. Have you ever had? I told a story on here a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, about a chef where I started learning so much as you described. And at this point, I'm like 25 years old. I just got over an opiate addiction, and he crashed and burned very recently. And watching that, and he left his whole family and shit. Have you had chefs like that, which you totally respected them and you watched them fall apart because of this industry, drinking, drugs, mental issues?
Chefs don't come from good places.
Right.
Chefs are ex-cons. They are ex-people dropouts. They're dropouts from school. When I grew up, chefing was that industry. And actually, the true chefs that are of this generation, most of the time won't even hire a Culinary Institute student because they don't understand, CIA and culinary institutions just fuck people up. They don't actually.
And that's where this guy came from, the CIA in Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
That's where
Yeah,
the guy I'm
CIA
talking about.
So they're
CIA
saying that's more of a
Culinary-
book-run person.
Culinary Institute of America.
I have worked with hundreds of the fucking wake of disaster that college has caused, and fuck them.
Well, and there's like
Do you
a whole.
think?
Go ahead.
Do you think it gives people a false sense of idea
Accomplishment,
of what the
yes,
what the
absolutely.
industry is, and then they
Absolutely.
show up and they're fucking.
And it's all about that fucking cash.
Well, they don't pay you shit, and they build
like
you up.
no, the cash that's going to the school
Oh,
and how
yeah.
expensive it is to fucking
it's,
go
it's
there.
bullshit.
because they're telling them, "Oh,
Yeah.
you're gonna go work."
If you
in
want to
this-
learn how to cook, go find somebody who's good at the trade. Go ask them. Be like, listen, I want to learn your craft. And somebody who's not that person, be like, if you want to succeed and you want to move up to any kind of career in life, these days they're so flooded with resumes. It's almost a shocking thing to have somebody come up to you and personally be like, I will work for free. I will work for free if you will teach me how to do what you're doing. I will work for free. I will do whatever I have to do, and then pick up a fucking second job doing some other shit, But do it, man. Apprentice, work for free. Go in, ask that guy. Be like, listen, your career. I idolize it. You shut the fuck up and listen.
Because in the long scheme of things, it's minutes.
Yes.
It might
It's
be a
minutes.
couple months or a couple years, but it is minutes in the long scheme.
It's also your pride, though. You have to stomp the shit out of your pride. You have to get rid of it and understand that you're actually, as a man, looking at another man, being like, you attain something that I don't, and I would like to have.
And there can't be ego in
No.
new people.
While
in the
you
industry.
watch somebody strut their feathers in front of you and they're the big peacock and they're like ego all day, you can never be like that.
And you usually watch it disappear. They're gone
Yes.
before you are.
Damn
Nobody
right.
wants,
Yeah.
nobody
Damn right.
wants to help that dude out.
Right.
Nobody's gonna
Exactly.
go the extra mile for that guy.
No one's going to stick up for him when people are
So do
talking
you think
shit
these
about him. And
like
yeah.
these shows that show this shit, other than like Gordon Ramsay telling people to fuck off and all the funny shit he says? Do you think some of these shows kind of like portray it a little bit differently than it actually is?
I think that they make it a lot worse than it really is. They go for the limelight. Gordon Ramsay is not that angry. There's no fucking way. Okay, nobody's that angry. He'd be dead on the fucking floor.
Yeah,
True. He'd be dead on the
Especially
floor.
with all the stress that comes with the job.
And you completely see that side that he was probably fluffed and been like, hey, let's show what. Now there's moments when Gordon is legitimately pissed off, and I can see that. Like when the lady came up and was like you walk away with a fucking nub. You do that to a chef. I have hot things back here and sharp, and I will not afraid to throw them at you and say I slipped.
There's some things I feel are real, like the when Gordon starts going nuts on the servers asking for fucking for times and stuff, and he's like, "Do you see what the
Absolutely,
fuck is going on?"
absolutely.
Because it's an open kitchen.
And but that's just running a line. That's just being
that's normal. That is the
that is
real.
normal.
Yeah.
And you don't want to fuck your timings up because people are paying a lot of money for that, and especially when you're a $500 plate, that shit better come out bling bling. But it's a little difficult when you have 300 of those people doing the same thing, and that's why you need to. And he knows, there comes a point where profit over margin meets, where you're just like, I can serve maybe 12 tables before the food starts losing quality, and that's something you never ever do as a chef. Never compromise the food, and you never compromise your time. So it's this line, and that's what the chefs do. Yeah. You get it together. And it's actually the expo who's more terrifying than the fucking chef.
Yeah, because he's the one controlling. Yeah, he's steering the ship.
You can be an awesome chef if you have a bad expo. Your shit is done, and that's why I always find myself just being an expediter. I try to find my crew and be like, "Hey, I trust you," and then I walk around and I'll expo. You fucking go touch yourself or something like.
So it's hanging tickets. It's organizing the big picture of
plating the order,
plating everything.
That's what your wheelman should be doing, though.
Yes,
he should be operating that and doing your calls. The thing that fucked me up the most about fine dining is they don't give other stations the ticket.
Yeah,
so they just call it off.
So you got to figure out how to fucking remember what they're doing.
Yeah. And they call it out, and you can't even really go in their area and look at the fucking thing.
The little trick I picked up is to take one of the vegetables or something that's on the dish and put it in the line. So, and then by looking at your whatever you set out, like a mushroom marks fucking that, you're like, that's that dish. Doesn't always work.
It's interesting that I've never worked in fine dining, but pubs and fine dining have a pretty similar it's a pretty similar feel between those.
But as far as television, like blowing it up, absolutely. Like in that Hell's Kitchen, they intentionally put that much pressure on you. I mean, you're going to try to be an executive chef. Of course, it's going to be like this new thing. If I was standing in a room full of people that I knew I had to beat, my days are going to be much different and not friendly. Like at work, because every man's competitive.
Do you think they send out
could you fucking imagine that?
Like, do you think they really screw up those dishes when they go out? Like, how many times can you pick up risotto, right? Like,
no, because it's so fast-paced.
I don't think
they're real mistakes.
I don't know. That's like asking. There's a couple of unspoken rules about being a chef. First off, you never intentionally harm someone with your food. Okay? That's like fucking capital rule. You don't dirty dick food. All right? And if I catch you doing it, I'm going to call the police on you.
Absolutely.
You're fucking done. I'm not just going to fire you. I'm going to put you in jail if I catch you doing that. I don't care if the guy in front of you is the person that you hate most in your entire life. You're cooking that fucking meal, or you're going to quit the job. They're a paying customer. So that's kind of how that rolls. But you never
and
ever
you've had issues with cops. I don't take you as someone to call the cops
that
frequently, right?
No.
But so that is. I mean, think about that, man. Think about someone, and I'm sure you've seen it. Mm-hmm. You've seen people spit or rub toast on their fucking ball sack.
I watched my own brother, my oldest brother, the executive chef that taught me. I watched him dig a shit nugget out of his own asshole with his bare finger and put it on a judge's sandwich who had sentenced him to 3 days in jail for a broken tail leg.
That's not bad. I'm kind of okay with that.
I mean, what do you say morally there? First off, if I was a judge...
That is a different situation, ain't it?
If I was a judge, a police officer, I would never go out to eat.
No, fuck no.
You. It's like that scene where it's like fucking Farva's eating the burger. He's like, is there spit in there? He's like, yeah. He's like,
they should be in an underground bunker somewhere.
Yeah, I would expect if I was a police officer, I would expect a fucking restaurant at my job.
Yeah,
like let me come back to a cafeteria. At least I know somebody didn't put a butt nugget on
my stomach. They have count bars.
Yes. Yeah. But
and those days are over because people will call the police.
And the most horrible thing about the end of that story is that it was a 3-system. My brother was the chef, I was a busser, and my other brother was a waiter. So we got all fucking 3 of us, dude. And it was just this crescendo of you're fucked as a judge. And so my brother takes the fucking order. He knows. He walks up to my brother as a chef. He's like, this is the dude who sentenced you to 3 days for a broken tail leg. And my brother's like, you could hear him rummaging around in there, and it was just
like, I wasn't prepared for this.
Right.
I'm gonna improvise.
I can hear you moving around in there, buddy, and it's so horrible. And he was looking for Christmas presents, And so he found the perfect gift to give this guy, and he just smears it out. And after the meal, it's my brother as a waiter. He's like, "How was your meal?" The guy was like, "That was one of the best sandwiches I've had." And I'm like, "Yeah." But yeah, man. But I've never done it. I can't bring myself to do it, even if I'd been sentenced. My brother's a little bit colder than I am. And, as you said, justifiable, right? But, at the end of that, I know that there's still other people I'm making food for, and I just dug in my ass.
That's really fucked up.
They didn't do anything to me. They don't deserve that. That's just cannon fodder, Fucking...
And plus, it's so easy to... It's too easy to fuck with people's food. Like, why would you even... Like, that's like fucking hitting someone with their hands tied behind their back.
It's a cowardly move.
So cowardly.
It's like, it's a cowardly move. It's like fucking with somebody's medication, or there are people, and I've seen chefs sabotage each other, and that's one of the worst things is when they're both going for the job. And like I had this chef Sammy Pro, his fucking great old Italian man. I mean, he was I would like to think of him as he taught me to, and I was over at Sky Ranch, and Sammy Pro is just this old Italian man. And I had a stage come in, and Sammy had made this same dish 100 times, and then one day it gets sent back, and it's like, oh, this thing's super salty, and I'm like, what? And I tasted it, dude, and it was like the ocean, right? This item, and I was like, Sam, what happened? He's like, I didn't do that, man. There's no way I did that. Absolutely not. And I looked over at the intern, and I was like, leave. And he's like, why? I was like, I know you did that. I was like, I'm not stupid. I was like, your stage is over. And he didn't say no. But chefs will go out of their way to fuck with other chefs to get them taken down. And it's very political in the restaurant once you get to the top of the ladder. It starts becoming cutthroat. You get the young buck who thinks he can take your job.
It's not even about money anymore. It's
all
ego.
Position and title.
Position and ego and title.
It's title. Because they see you yelling at people, and they're like, I want to do that. Well, if you want to do that, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
You should not be in it. If you enjoy yelling at folks, don't be a chef.
You got all this tension and all this competition in these kitchens. Like, does it ever go to blows? Like, people are fucking in the cooler fucking settling it.
I watched a chef pick up another spatula and smash it into another dude's face and almost cut his nose off. Just out of nowhere, they were arguing and talking shit, and he just grabbed his little spatula and he was just like, yeah, and fucking chopped this guy.
I'm gonna be doing some fucked up shit when I go to work today, just not like subconsciously.
I've seen a chef walk by and chuck a cup of ice in a deep fryer while somebody's standing in front of him.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
Fuck your mom kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's hardcore shit right there.
They like to play a game called fucking Hot Knives. I don't like that shit. It's or Hot Tongs. I'm sorry.
Oh, luckily that never happened. They'll put it right on the fucking on the flat on both sides.
And then come touch you on the back of your arm or some shit.
Yeah.
And you're like holding something and you immediately punch whatever's in front of you because you're just like ah, and it's just like fucking and we do mean shit to servers, mean shit, just needless. I'm gonna go give away some trade secrets. Okay?
I kind of want to hear these because some of the servers where I work are kind of.
So one of the meanest things you can do is take one of the plates that they're gathering and put it in the oven. And wait till that motherfucker reaches about 400 degrees.
Oh my god!
Plate their food and then set that plate in the window. Obviously, going to burn the living shit out of themselves.
Drop the plate.
And you always know the servers have been wounded because they always come up with a rag, and they're like, "Oh, you pissed off some people in your time."
And sometimes it'll be like a bowl that the food goes in the oven, and then that is put on a plate.
Yeah.
And then, so the servers can burn themselves without it being malicious.
And if you just want to fuck their day up, you're special. I used to do this when I was working with servers. I just absolutely hated. I would do a cast iron special. So I'd get this fucking cast iron Dippy in a hot as fuck, glowing red, and I'd put my sizzling platter on there, and then I'd fucking pour Tabasco on top of it, and all it does is create pepper gas. And then they have to take this fucking thing to the table, and they're like, and they're fucking teared up, and they're pepper sprayed,
And they've already made the walk.
yeah,
they have to
they
consider
already
the
have to,
table
because
is seen.
you're working together as kitchen, so you're like, hey, fuck with that waiter, make him hurry, and the expo's like, you gotta get to the table, man, you gotta go, you gotta hurry, and they're just like grabbing this shit, and this fucking field of just gas and pepper spray is coming out. Fuck servers, by the way.
I've said that numerous times here.
We've said this on the show, and that's the question I was actually going to ask you, like the conflict between the front of the house and back of the house.
Ooh,
Yeah.
what about it?
Yes, you were.
I'm digging it with knowledge.
No,
yeah,
I'm just saying
there's
you're dropping the knowledge here on that. Like,
the expo is always the wall. That's why
Yeah.
you create the expo. If a restaurant doesn't have an expediter, then the problem is going to blow up. Because
So you mean by that to work the front and the back?
I'm just saying, like, you know,
like connecting the two together.
yeah, you have a wheelman, you have an expo. Okay, there's actually, if you want to define it, it'd be two expos, because the wheelman's putting together the plates on this side, making sure they look good, making sure that they're what's in front of his ticket system. He's calling the tickets. He's making sure that the guys know what's going on, and he's saying what he needs up in the window. So he's like, where are those shrimp? Where are those fucking? Where's that? Chicken finger?
yeah,
Yeah.
And it's his job to put these plates together and start setting them in the window. When his ticket's complete, he pulls it and drops it. Now, if you don't have him and you don't have an expo, you don't have any. You're working in Applebee's or some
absolutely.
shit. Bad shit.
Yes.
where you got
So-
the bitchy waitress
Right.
who's still on.
Even
Yeah.
fucking watch me lose my fucking shit on the fact that the wheelman and the expo weren't working together.
Right.
Yeah, and you actually, like, the day that fucking happened, like...
It was well deserved.
yeah.
I needed to lay that down. It was worth the job. I got fired,
I
but
mean,
it was worth it.
Talk about real quick to Chris, like, tell him what you even walked into, like, when you got the job.
Oh,
Like, how...
like that
You
day or
didn't even
job?
know who the manager was for fucking 2 weeks.
I did
And
not.
where was this? And
where
when in your
I
life?
work.
Oh, okay. Where you
That's where I
work?
know Ben from. Because
Ah,
he
okay,
was
right.
there for a short period of time. They kind of brought him in as, like, to be a manager.
Okay.
But you didn't even talk to anybody in, like, a position of power.
Well, it's not my first time doing that, though. Like,
Yeah, so-
I'm infamous for walking into a job and being like, I was supposed to have an interview today.
And then they're just like, all right, you start over here.
And lie.
Yeah, no,
Like,
it's
a liar.
Not, yeah, no, but
But I'll come in and be like, well, it's smart because you call up on the phone and you ask who the manager is. Okay, and then you go to the job and say that manager is lined up an interview, and then if the manager comes up, you're like, remember we talked, and there's no busy that they're just like, yeah. So it's a little sneaky.
But like you said, chefs like that initiative anyway.
Yes.
So even if they figure that out,
What are you
once
gonna
they
be
see
mad
you
at
work,
me?
as long as they figure it out after they see you work and they don't catch you in that lie, I feel that's sort of part of that fucking
It is.
industry.
Well-
I don't think it's that sneaky or malicious.
No militia.
Right.
No militia.
Yeah.
What would the term in the militia? Militia.
It just seems
Malice.
like you're...
Malice.
There we go. No
is a
malice.
good one.
Jesus Christ, the
That's
thesaurus is broken today.
It's a
So
good
you
one.
show up to this crazy fucking place, and it was pretty fucking crazy. Like,
So I don't even know how I got
like
the job.
no,
I don't even know how I
no,
got the
like
job.
it's just lawless land, free for all. Like
It was very,
everybody's just doing whatever the fuck.
Were you
somehow-
already working there?
Oh yeah,
Bro, that was one of the weirdest places I've ever worked.
And
Really?
Yeah, it had two kitchens in the kitchen, and they were back to back, and it was in this fucking, and at a bakery, and it wasn't that big of a place, in the middle of nowhere. This place has fucking two kitchens in it, okay? And they divide the kitchens, and they're like, you work this line, but it was like,
And both are running
if
every
you
day?
ordered an order of French fries, everybody would grab one French fry and put it on the plate. It was like that kind of a place.
yeah,
Like,
then it definitely was for.
there was no one person ran this. It was 7 people to run a fryer, 8 people to run a grill. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on in this kitchen? It was just,
It's so counterproductive.
Oh yeah, well it's
and
just
it was the most boring fucking
Of
shit
course.
ever, because you're like, oh, I have an order, but let's both carry the mushroom because it's heavy. You know?
Is it basically just a case of it being so maybe not dead, but just boring? You said
No, it's
lawless, that people are
high
just
vibe.
following people around.
there is no organization.
No rhyme or reason.
There's nobody like, all right, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're
Yes,
doing this.
you would
It's
get
just,
you would get a ticket.
you're here, and you're here. Like, and this
And
is
then
what's on the ticket.
Once they realized that, like, everybody's just kind of roaming around expecting everybody else to take care of it, and that's what it was. Like, one person be like, I'm not fucking dealing with it. I'm smoking a cigarette. You deal with it. And the other guy's like, I'm not, you did it last time. And it's like, what the fuck is happening in this kitchen? And then every once in a while, this old woman with fake tits would come out and start screaming at everybody angrily. And then go
I
away.
can picture this so clearly, like I was there.
Like I said, I'll bring you in anytime.
And then this, you know, and she would just come out and be like,
This lady.
rah, rah, and then wouldn't come back, wouldn't try to fix anything, wouldn't say, just, that was it. I'm here to yell at you. I'm not going to have a leader.
Wow.
And then one day I lost it. I just,
Yeah. And I was, oh fuck yeah, it was a Sunday morning, which Sunday morning breakfast is like one of our busiest times. Didn't you come in like a couple minutes late? Maybe a little
just got
hungover?
off my other fucking
Oh yeah, because
job.
you were working.
I was
You were
working-
stuck there because they were getting killed for breakfast
Right,
too.
and they were
Then
both pissed that I couldn't be at
and then
two
you had to
places
come
at once.
over. So you had to do 6 to 11 there.
Yeah, I had to
And
like
get killed,
I
and
had
then
to-
come finish 11
I
to
had
2.
to, I had to apologize to everybody because I was in the middle of a rush on both areas, and I was weirdly lead, and I don't know how. I shouldn't have been. Mike was lead.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well,
If I led like that, I would have never even learned how to touch myself.
you know the thing with that is like
Oh my God, thank you.
nobody was ever even really said like, all right, this is what you do, this is what you do. It's just you throw everybody in the kitchen and let them fucking figure it out for themselves.
Well,
So-
it was willful. It was willful
So yeah,
destruction.
he kind of just like became that dude because he was just happened to be standing there and he was the loudest one.
Yeah.
We will
'cause-
say he was a short kid though with like little man syndrome and a drug problem.
Yeah.
No, not me.
Ow!
Wasn't me.
A little bit of fucking ice for that man.
No, this is what we do around here.
Ow.
It got to a point
That
where
hurt me.
we were fucking having the rap battle each other at the beginning of our show.
Excellent rap battles.
Pretty cringy,
I'm
but
gonna
it
leave out of
works.
that one. I'm gonna tap out. The second I hear somebody try to Eminem on me, I'm
Yeah,
out.
it was a little
But
one.
yeah, so I walk into this fucking place and this kid's just fucking like, there's like, it's 20 people just,
Because it's a
their
Sunday,
hands are all moving really fast, but they're not doing anything.
Sunday morning. But yeah,
It,
Sunday
it was the craziest thing. It was like invisible massages everywhere.
morning.
And I walk in and this fucking old lady with big fake tits is just freaking the fuck out. She's got another person next to her freaking out. And this kid's just, and the apple butter goes on the biscuit. And he's supposed to be leaving. He's leading this entire 20-man army. That's just like, what do I do next? And he's like, Mama like about that.
Now, before you get to it, now let me just explain. Like Sunday morning breakfast, it's fucking out of control.
It's
Both
insane.
kitchens are going.
Yeah,
It's like-
whatever that is. Whatever that
I
is. Both kitchens.
Whatever that is.
Yeah.
don't. So,
As a
That's
chef,
what I was thinking, man.
let's just say that perfect issue of control is to just have a whole
Like-
kitchen away from the original.
So
kitchen.
we're
Yeah,
not talking
hey.
a prep kitchen. We're talking
A
two
full.
lines.
There's a
in
line-
two
different-
no,
full,
no,
lines,
there's
two
a
full
line-
grills, two full flat tops,
A line
two
behind
full
the
hot
fuck.
wells.
A line behind the line.
Yeah. So
A
as
little window, like where the plates
and not
go, where you
only
can-
that, this is the piece de la resistance.
Oh, there's more. I love more.
Okay. One, it wouldn't go odds and evens. You would have to both put together a ticket.
It wasn't even separate tickets in the lines, dude.
That's the part. I've run some large kitchens, and you handle odds, you handle evens. No, it was like, and
Here's
it was
your
even.
copy,
It was.
here's
It
your
was
copy.
almost. It was almost. I've seen it in this place. I have the meat. You have the potato. And I have to put the meat on here and then slide the plate over there, and then I also have a guy over here has this thing. And then, by the way, there's no expo, so everybody's taking tickets. So not only do you have a shit show going on in here where everybody's like trying to put three different sections of a restaurant are trying to put together one plate. And I'm like, what the fuck? So they're
meanwhile,
like,
like I have, and hopefully he doesn't see this, but
this
I have a lady that works there, and you know it's Sunday morning.
the big
No,
titted
not her,
lady?
but the older
She
one in the
had some
back.
big old fake titties though, bro. They were like
Mhm.
old tires.
So you got somebody back there all fucking zanned out of their minds, yelling at the dishwashers for plates.
Yeah.
Smoking a cigarette.
Yeah. I wish it was a joke. I remember that. I wish it was fucking a joke. But he's not lying. The man's still spitting the truth.
Smoking a cigarette, actively fucking putting
Actively!
What is this, 1970, dude?
Thank you.
Like, what the
Like,
fuck?
dishwashers, we need more holes in
Fucking
the bag.
Kelly Bundy's cooking my fucking dinner, like flicking it in.
And you know,
Fucking Love and Marriage is playing in the background. You're like, what the fuck? So you're sitting there and they're hitting they're fucking hitting weed pens. They're fucking smoking vapes. There's somebody actively smoking a cigarette. And I'm like, everything I was ever taught through coming up out of the streets and fucking going to the top classes is like, every rule I've ever seen you could possibly break being broken. I'm like, there's teabagging the potatoes. They're like, ah.
You're like,
you're one of the few that came up, like, you came up with cooking in better than normal restaurants. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
I started it at normal, and then like I did. And
that
it
kind
wasn't
of
until
normal?
San
Is
No, that's what I'm
that
saying, like,
normal?
He's like, I just did a bid out in fucking San Francisco.
I'm gonna
cooking
raise
at
my
these
hand.
fucking
Yeah.
I worked at a restaurant where I had to go out to a trough to get the water, and then pour the water in the hot well, and then at the end of the day, I had to separate the meat from the bread to feed to the pigs.
Oh, fuck.
So that was a
Yeah, I
real
think we got a
thing.
winner, boys.
Yeah.
And so Gordy Harper's wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
You know, and the waitresses, I swear to fucking God, were all pregnant. And they were all fucking pregnant, dude. And
He's so shocked by it. It must have been so crazy to see it once. He had to say it twice.
bro, just walking up, holding their back, like, "Gee, won't."
Can you grab the cups? Like, can't even reach.
I didn't even know what fucking. I still can't even remember it. It's like corn, but on steroids. I think it's hummus, but before it becomes hummus.
Oh,
Giant corn cobs. See, I don't know it because I will myself not to remember this
yeah,
kind of shit.
no, I don't remember the name, but I've seen them before.
It's a very swollen corn, and they love that. And then there was shit I'd never seen: collard greens, green beans, boiled hog jaw. Ever
No, never. Not good.
look in my eyes. Look in my eyes, man.
Not good. No.
Don't.
What is that all about?
It's literally a hog's jaw that they soak until it looks like bacon.
Okay, so I guess it goes with the
Does it
name.
still have teeth in it?
No
Oh.
teeth. It's just the strip, and then they pickle it so it gets all flappy,
Oh,
and then they
dude.
throw that pickled, nasty, raw, chunky, fucking air flap, disgusting web-toed, banjo picking, sister fucking meal on your plate, and they're like, "You gonna try that now, boy?" And it was terrifying. Southern chefs are fucking frightening, dude.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
gotta-
I watched chickens get slaughtered in the kitchen.
It's like,
I pulled out a goat heart from a bucket once and a goat face on accident. And my thumb was in its eye, and it was all like its tongue was lolled out, and there was no meat on it. And I was
Oh,
just,
dude.
The most fucked up situation you've been in is working with you.
he's putting it together now. Yeah. The weirdest fucking job was Gordy Harper's.
it's like not even the goat eye or the fucking pig jaw.
No, because I've never heard of the two separate kitchens or two separate lines for one fucking kitchen.
Well, when I worked for the Mouse, that's how it was.
Yeah, but was it more controlled or was it like?
Oh yeah,
crazy?
no, it was again back into the drill sergeant army.
Yeah,
kind of way.
yeah.
This was like.
Oh shit.
I've always said it's complete fucking chaos over there. Like Lord of the Flies, like you just throw everybody in there and somehow it,
I worked in a fucking old folks home for a little while for the mentally disturbed, and
Right.
it was a lot like that.
The kitchen there or the actual
Yeah.
Just
I think
yes,
the pic.
yes, yeah. That's all I can tell you is yes.
so you got little Mikey's on the wheel that Sunday morning and you're late because you're already getting your ass kicked at the only other place in town
Yeah,
that serves breakfast.
Fucking making everybody have diarrhea in town. Like I had to go to the other side of town so they could shit themselves too. So I'm sitting in there and I walk in and just fucking take it's like fucking.
Yeah,
Like
we're getting
a
crushed.
book, bro. I've taken
The
it's like
line,
they're on the
fucking-
ground. People are just making airplanes out of them. Taking them in the air.
Put 'em
One
in
guy's
your
rolling a
pocket.
joint with one, and I'm like,
It was probably
what's
Tyler.
fucking happening?
It's people's food they paid money for.
He's just
in writing form before it's
Like,
made.
this is good. I'm gonna need a longer ticket. Like fucking in my paper.
We need some more hollandaise sauce.
So yeah, and this kid's just I could see that his lack of urgency wasn't there. He was just like, man, muffins. He's like, you want to make some muffins? And this old lady with fake tits is just fucking freaking, dude. I've never seen her this angry. Like, I actually thought she might kill herself. Like, she's gonna die if she doesn't calm down. She's just freaking out on the
And
whole
she
crew.
left.
She's like, fuck all of you. You're the biggest turd monging fucking turd burglars I've ever seen. And I'm like, and she's making me mad because I'm taking it personal. And I'm like, hey man, how'd you know? I have been burgling turds. Like, stop watching me.
And here you walked in the door with a little bit of integrity behind you, like
Right.
I'm a chef, like I did this, did that, and now I'm here.
And I'm trying with this lead man who's obviously above me. He's my trainer, you know, and he's been my trainer, and he's showing me the ropes, and he's just dropping the ball. And I'm like, hey man, do you need me to help you? And, you know, I'm nice at first. I didn't just fucking go ham, egg, and cheese on the kid, you know? Like, walked in like,
And I was standing over
bitch,
talking
move.
to Jack when Jack, our awesome older guy that was just so happy and cheerful.
So
We're over shooting shit while this is going on.
I'll never forget his hands. He had baby hands. And they were so small, and he was short, but his hands were also smaller than they should have been as a short person.
And
so
he
it
was married to
extra
the
weird.
one waitress that was like fucking 6 foot tall.
She was Tammy, wasn't it?
No, not her. It was the girl with the glasses.
There was actually a Tammy there. Yeah, I'm in the fucking restaurant. Fucking Tammys. All right, anyway,
There are definitely some.
All over the place.
everybody's got a Tammy in their restaurant. You gotta have a Tammy. So I walk in and I'm starting to try because it's like my fucking dude. I don't know, man. This place is fucking shit, and I'm a goodwill man, but I'm not. I don't know enough about Gordy Harbors to understand what a slap face is. And,
Yeah, because you only been there what, like maybe 2 weeks at this
I
point.
need a slap face with a side of whoop 'em. I'm like, I'm
You're
reading
coming to me
shit
like,
that says Dippy eggs.
Yeah,
What the fuck is a Dippy?
That's on the ticket.
Yeah, it says Dippy egg. And I'll remember this for the rest of my life because I've never seen this order. It was like, make the eggs dippy. Yeah.
You come up to me like, what the fuck is this? I'm
I'm
don't
like,
fucking
Mike.
know.
I'm like, Mike, what's a dippy egg? He's like, I don't know. Well, that's very helpful. Have you asked? No. We're just gonna do some stuff. I'm like, what do you mean you're just gonna do some stuff? Yeah, we're just send it out. I'm like, no, you're not just. What the fuck? Tell me what you're gonna send out before you send it out. I want to know what your version of a dippy egg is. Explain to me. He's like, I don't know, like, just like an egg. Fucking home running it with my confidence right now. So I walk around and I go to the table, dude.
Yeah, you were going out the tables.
I left and I went to the fucking table.
Can I take a guess? Sunny side up. Is that what
Yes!
Yeah.
Never heard it called a Dippy, but
Me fucking-
I'm just going by my fucking
I know
small
exactly-
acknowledgement that
I
it
know,
is.
I know exactly what it is. Yeah,
I
yeah.
hate you for knowing that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nobody should know that.
I'm glad I
Nobody.
took that
Like,
guess.
like,
Nobody should have that
An egg that you could've-
fucking poor knowledge that isn't even fucking makes
Anything
sense.
that wasn't that would be deeply disturbing.
Right.
Like the word dippy, that's all it could be is sunny side
Bro,
up.
I would have brought it to the table doing this.
Dipping your head.
Ooh, it's dippy.
Fucking
Like, what the fuck do you want out of this? It's so dippy right now. Like, do you want me to do the airplane?
When I dip, we did.
So I fucking I go to the table and I'm like, excuse me, sir, and I'm like, we have light easy, over easy, sunny side up, over medium well, over hard. We have braised, we have poached, and we have.
No, you don't. You're just capable of it. You guys don't have that shit.
No, I was like, I can do any
I was saying, yeah, we
egg you've
didn't-
ever
right.
heard of. What is a dippy egg? He's like, you dip it. So far today, I've gotten the answer of it's an egg and you dip it. So
And they couldn't tell you, or nor did they know sunny side up.
he got it at the end. He did. He
Meanwhile,
did.
there's a kitchen with 20 plus employees.
Just stacking tickets. Stacking tickets so I could pause my
That's
day.
just
to
their
figure out-
job.
I had to stop all of what I was doing.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay. He's like, you dip your toast in it. And I was like, so you want the yolk runny? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, do you want it sunny side over easy or medium? He's like, dippy. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to fucking... I'm going to kill you. I know you can hear the words that are coming out of my mouth. And you just need to maybe come to an understanding with me about how nobody knows what the fuck you're talking about.
Did he at least say, like, with the toast? I put the toast in the
Yes,
bag?
that's what I got.
Okay, all right.
So I just associated with talking to a deaf man, and she was like, and I was like, and so I just walked up. I was like, sunny side up. And that's what you got, which is impressive because it took me a whole excursion. Now,
I think it's just wishful thinking, because anything else.
well, if you the problem was is if I would have sent out what I thought that they were talking about, you already know it would have been fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what it would have been. I could have been like, it's a space station. I sent out a Pop-Tart. Or they were just, it's wrong because I would have assumed, and you make an ass out of me.
Meanwhile,
and
more cigarettes being smoked in the back kitchen,
Yeah.
more plates being
So
broken,
everybody else is
yelling.
like, haha, this
Yelling.
fucking idiot. He cares.
Well, no, yeah, that's what I was going to say. As a chef, you don't give a like. You still want it to go out right and the customer to be happy. It's
Right.
not right. I mean, that's your goal.
Treat people how you want to be treated.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
If you, you know, I don't want to come in out of your turd sandwich. You know, like my brother.
And I even
did.
went to you. I'm like, I even went to you and said, like, you're doing too fucking much for
I know
this
you
place.
did. Like, dude.
Like, dude,
Then
dial it
I
down.
walk- I
Like,
walk- I
It
walk-
ain't that serious.
Not bad, man.
I'm what? I'm
Don't just calm down, Ben. You're doing a little too much for this establishment. Like, just don't care so much about the Dippy egg and steam just boiling. And
You're
you were
still a little worked
Yo,
up about the
you know
Dippy
what?
egg, I
Yeah,
can
he's
tell.
getting more mad.
And now
There was
that
time in between the conversation.
now that I remember it, you and your wife were at a fucking wine tasting party the night before, and you had like a couple extra bottles of wine that night. So you were
Couple extra bottles.
not feeling waking up.
I was sweating it out.
You weren't feeling waking up at 6 to do one restaurant to go to another restaurant and have to deal with Dippy eggs.
You're right. You're right. It was.
And you're like, I'm gonna fucking flip. Just chill.
And I.
Everyone goes home at 2, it'll be good,
I
but the-
really reached my limit with New Fame. I can just stretch my limit. So I come in and the kid dropped the ball. He was fucking crashing his line, right? And I was just like, fucking James was like, chill. And I was like, fuck that. I'm not chilling. I'm going to fucking, you need to get excited. And Mike walked away from his wheel.
And I'm standing over here next to Jack. We're just having
He
a
just
little convo.
walked
and
away, dude. And he got about to James at the end of the line, and he was just gonna keep walking, and he was just gonna fuck off. And I was like, "Hey, hold on a second." And I walked over, and apparently, what came out of me was not appropriate.
What did you
was
say?
it?
What
I don't
was-
remember.
okay, you're starting.
You were there. What did I say?
So me and Jack being the nice older guy that I work with on Sundays, and we're just having our little convo. Mike's walking by, and you're like, "Can't you do your fucking job?"
Yeah.
Yeah, at about 40 decibels.
Yeah,
I was about to
but-
say, I mean,
as loud as you could, and like
I could see
to
you
the
saying
point
that
where
loud.
everybody in the fucking kitchen just stops and is like, jaw on the ground, like, what the fuck?
And as I thought that was what should have happened.
Yeah,
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Yeah.
It's not.
It needed to stop. Everybody needed to stop hanging. You needed a voice to say, stop, now,
Yeah.
regather. But instead of, I got to the stop part,
And it didn't
And then-
go good from there, or what?
I got fired on the spot.
But did he not like start like, oh, he was like so caught off guard that somebody yelled at him and called
Yeah.
him out on this shit?
Then he went and robbed a house. It was
the very
crazy.
next fucking
It was
day.
crazy.
The very next fucking day he did.
Holy shit.
But he was like almost in fucking tears.
Oh, yeah.
A little fucking shocked.
He didn't know what to do.
Like,
And they made us work together for the rest of the day.
Everybody in the kitchen was just like, what the fuck the boss is, or who at least is supposed to be the boss
But
is.
here's the thing. Right
Alright.
after that, I took over the line because he was crying in the corner. Like, literally.
Not me,
Like, it
but
wasn't-
I was crying
You
laughing.
might have been. You
Yeah.
might have been.
Yeah, you were not going to stop your combo.
You just
No,
knew
me
that.
and Jack were still over here having.
Jesus taking pictures.
No, it's-
I gotta get
I-
this
I-
for memory.
There's a story behind that, but we'll let it go. Watch the podcast. You'll see.
Jesus.
yeah, I probably should. I probably should have. That'd have been fucking amazing.
I would
So
have.
yeah, he's
I would have high-fived you on the way up.
Oh
the
yeah,
road.
that would have been
John.
fucking.
But no, they pulled me aside and fucking they were like, "You done?" And I was like, "Am I quitting?" And they were like, "Yes, you're quitting." And see, in the restaurant industry, you don't get fired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Because they don't want to pay you unemployment.
You
You-
quit.
Yeah.
And so I was quitting that day.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, like, because you went over to talk to them, like, Mike's still kind of crying and pouting, like, what just happened? Like, no one's ever yelled at me before.
For the next 3 days, they're all shook.
So did Mike
I've
do his
never heard
bid
of
and come back to the restaurant?
No, he ended up actually.
Breaking into someone's house.
He
and then
was
he
there for a
got
little bit
arrested.
longer.
And then his wife left him because he had a drug addiction. And this was all in the span of 30 days. And I hope he got his shit together.
I think you. And then you were finally like, fuck New York, I'm going back out to Cali, I'm a scroll bum, fuck this place.
Yeah, I was done.
Like, this shit's crazy.
Yeah. I lost both my jobs that day.
Yeah, because you fucking, something happened with them, didn't you?
Because I left to go to there.
Yeah, so like, and I do remember that, you fucking, you like called me up later on, like, dude, let's have a drink, I don't have no jobs anymore.
Yep. I left that job early because they were in the middle of rush to go help out the other job, and they both fucking fired me. And I was like, well, that worked out exquisitely.
Oh yeah, fuck New York.
To close out the restaurant thing, so Reed just started as a dishwasher. Now, you didn't go that way.
Run!
Yeah,
Run!
that's my question.
Run!
That's my question.
That's my answer.
I know, because he already knew what I was going to say. If you have one serious piece of advice, because he's not really sure on what he wants to, this is just the first job for him, right? So what advice do you have if he starts getting interested in the family and crazy atmosphere that is kitchen work?
I would say this, Reed. I would say this. Don't make a career of it. It's a good lesson, a good way to make money. It's a dying institution. If you ever expect to have respect, don't work there. There's always going to be some corporate slob on any job drooling down your neck until you become a man or own your own business. And then inevitably it's going to be the government. So you're always going to have a boss. And it's either going to be your clients or it's going to be some douchebag who had a bad day. Work as fast as you can to get your own business, because credit forgiveness only takes 10 years.
Yeah.
So you can open up a business right when you hit 18, and then by the time you're 28, even if you fucked it up, nobody's ever going to look at you and say, hey, you fucked it up. And nobody opens businesses at 18. So kill it.
Fuck.
Yeah,
I like that.
Chris is like, where the fuck were you?
Yeah, where were you fucking 15 years ago, motherfucker? God damn, you were busted ass for some chef somewhere. Fuck, yeah, I wish I would have got that. I mean, that advice still is going to, I could still harness that.
I mean that, even if you took out a business loan when you turned exactly 18 years old on the day, and you fucked up that whole business, by the time I was 40, I went to go open my business, so those are all mulligans, man. Just fucking, you're not even losing any time, you know? Just get the loan, fuck the bank, and then fucking if you make it, you do. If you don't, hey, fuck the bank again in 10 more years.
Let that 10 years run up.
Well, Ben,
Awesome.
we fucking totally appreciate you flying in from California.
Yeah,
to come
good
see us.
job for our
Thank you.
third guest on the show. That was very awesome,
Yeah.
and thank you for being so honest and open about the entirety of your life so far. So
Like, me and Chris are just sitting here in total awe and entertainment, like, wow, like, we thought we had some shit to say.
This was one of the best conversations, podcast or not, that I've had in a very long time.
I'll close with my comment by saying this. If you're out there and you're young and you feel like everything's stuck, it'll get better. You just got to keep swimming, you know?
Yeah.
Just like a duck on water. You know, looks calm, little feet freaking out. So it might look like you're in a cult in a small village or in your shitty restaurant and you got a lot of people yelling at you. You'll get there, you know? And even if you don't, fucking, you tried.
Keep pushing on.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
Grind.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep pushing.
All right, man. Well, thanks for everything. We'll we'll have maybe through Zoom or hopefully you come back. Maybe you can come back and just be on the podcast full time with us. Who knows what's gonna happen? Your life takes fucked up turns.
You couldn't pay me to suck James's dick.
I know, because you do it for free most of the time.
Exactly. It's a privilege.
It is.
It's a privilege.
I mean, well, stay safe, and we'll keep in contact, and
Yeah,
hopefully
you-
have you on as a correspondent or something
Our
that
West
we can
Coast
figure out.
correspondent.
We will touch tips.
Yeah, right.
And this guy already looks like a Chinese finger trap. Like he's probably not even circumcised. He just
Stand-up comedy might be your next venture. Who the
Oh
fuck
God,
knows,
no,
man?
no. I mean, do you remember comedy? You know,
This is the conversation we have. Like, okay, kitchen's closed.
All right, but yeah, I think.
Not as good as your snap.
it was a good snap.
I don't know. I was trying to figure out a way.